Chosen one, the fact that you're seeing this right now means something in you has already awakened. This message was set in motion long ago. They never wanted you to know how deeply you've been targeted, how every glance and whispered rumor was part of a grand design to hold you back. What if I told you the circle of people who smile at your pain are now being stripped of their masks? You felt the weight of invisible hands pushing you down, dismissing your visions as delusions. Today, hidden truths come to light. The group that conspired against you is unraveling under divine scrutiny, and you stand at the center of their undoing. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will shift everything you thought you knew. Group warfare. When they gang up, a single, breathless moment in a crowded room can change everything. Maybe it was the way your friend's smile froze at your laughter, or how a coworker's casual joke cut deeper than any blade. In that instant, a subtle shift whispered to your soul. You are no longer among allies, but entrants in a silent conspiracy. This is not paranoia, it is awakening. When they gather in hushed clusters, leaning in with shared glances, know that their union against you confirms your rising light. You are no accident in their story. You are the spark they feared. There were days when their sidelining felt like an echo chamber of doubt. You sensed the air thicken around you, as though your presence triggered an invisible alarm. Every time you offered insight or vulnerable truth, a wave of tension rolled through the group. Heads turned, voices hushed, and your words dissolved into awkward silence. You carried the weight of being too much, the sting of rejection from those you once called friends. That loneliness, that question of why am I always on the outside, became the crucible shaping your inner resolve. What if these painful dynamics were never random, never just a series of petty hurts or misunderstandings, but the deliberate outcome of a collective fear? In Amos 3 verse 3 it is written, "Can two walk together unless they are agreed?" Their secret pact of discomfort and dismissal was a pact of unbelief in your purpose, woven from threads of their own insecurities. Behind closed doors, they formed a spiritual barricade, not against your character, but against the truth you carried. Recognizing this transforms each slight from personal fault to sacred sign. You may have overlooked the small betrayals, the sudden cancellations of plans, the whispers that echoed your words back as mockery, the eerie synchronicity of meetings you weren't invited to. These were more than missteps. They were coded warnings, flashing lights in your peripheral vision. In dreams, you might have seen shadows forming shapes that vanish when you look directly, a symbol of their hidden alignment. These subtle signposts are the universe's gift, guiding you to decode their machinations and embrace the clarity behind your discomfort. Amidst the confusion, a quiet inner voice began to murmur, "You saw it coming." This gut-level knowing, that prickling at the nape of your neck when they plotted just out of earshot, was never false. It was a steady hum of your soul's frequency, refusing to be drowned by their discordant noise. Trust this gentle insistence. It is the compass that has always pointed true north. In grounding yourself, breathing deeply, feeling your feet connect with the earth, you reclaim the safety they try to strip away. As this awareness deepens, you begin to remember that you were never theirs to diminish. Beneath your learned habit of shrinking lies an identity older than family bones, a radiant archetype waiting to be unearthed. Picture an ancient tapestry buried under years of dust. Each thread represents a lesson from those who conspired against you, now revealed to form the pattern of your destiny. You are not becoming someone new. You are reclaiming the self that adversity could not erase. Now, feel that first surge of power as you embrace your sensitivity and insight not as liabilities, but as ancestral gifts. The very qualities they feared, your empathy, your vision, your courage to speak truth, are the keys to dismantling their net. You stand at the edge of their tableau, ready to step into the open. Let this activation be your ceremony. Breathe in the fire of your purpose. Let your heartbeat drum a war song of reclamation, and prepare to move forward, knowing that every withheld invitation was a secret call to your true mission. Your arrival at this revelation was no accident. It was written in the stars before your first breath. You were never meant to endure their collective sabotage in silence. You were meant to break free in splendor. Comment circle if you felt their tide closing in around you, and share a moment when you sense a net unravel at your touch. As you claim this awakening, know that the next truth awaits. The uncovering of why this orchestrated resistance was the crucible of your greatest gifts. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. The hidden setup behind your pain. A tremor ran through you one afternoon when you noticed a perfect alignment of small slights. The way a colleague canceled plans at the very moment your confidence peaked. The sudden hush that fell when you shared a bold idea. The meeting that ended minutes before your name could be spoken. In that unsettling stillness, you felt a presence pressing in, a pressure so quiet you almost dismissed it as fatigue. Yet beneath the surface of everyday life, something was working against you, shaping your path with calculated precision. It wasn't coincidence that your breakthroughs met resistance at every turn. It was the first sign that a hidden setup had been laid, a spiritual architecture designed to test and refine your resolve before your true mission could emerge. A heavy knot of emotion settled in your chest as you replayed the moments when you felt too much or not enough. You remember the sharp pang of shame when whispered jokes followed your back, the ache of isolation when your deepest feelings were met with awkward silence. Every act of exclusion became a stab of self-doubt, convincing you that something was wrong with you rather than with those who judged. The weight of their collective disapproval pressed you into hiding, urging you to shrink so that the world might stop pointing. Yet in that suffocating isolation lay the seed of your awakening. Your very sensitivity, manipulated to keep you small, is the raw material of your greatest strength. If you could step back and see the invisible scaffolding beneath these assaults, you would witness systems and energies reacting to the light they could not extinguish. Like Israel's exile into Babylon, you were cast into a wilderness where familiar comforts vanished, and every instinct drove you to seek a hidden truth. These trials were not punishments, but sacred courtyards of initiation, places where your faith was tested and your spirit honed. Just as the Israelites found new revelations in the desert, so you discovered that each barrier was a portal leading deeper into your own prophetic gifts, preparing you for a calling that transcends the ordinary. Turn your gaze inward and trace the recurring betrayals that once seemed random. The friend who suddenly distanced herself when you spoke of dreams, the supervisor who undermined your contributions with subtle critiques, the partner whose love turned conditional upon your willingness to conform. These were not isolated incidents, but patterns woven into your story, evidence of a spiritual choreography orchestrated by they who feared your emergence. In that moment of clarity, it feels like flicking a switch in a dark room. You see the lines connecting every disappointment, lighting the path they intended to block, but ultimately illuminated for your journey. In the stillness before dawn, you might have sensed the weight of unseen watchers, an energetic interference that stifled your plans and clouded your vision. It was as if a dense fog settled over your intentions, muffling the echoes of your purpose and turning clear directives into muddled whispers. Doors that once opened for you slammed shut. Phone calls went unanswered. Opportunities slipped through your grasp. This was not mere bad luck, but spiritual sabotage, a protective reaction from forces threatened by the glow of your unfolding light. Recognizing this distortion marks the moment when resistance becomes visible and you no longer mistake sabotage for self-sabotage. Your first instinct in the face of such pressure may have been to retreat, to wrap yourself in invisibility like a cloak. You might have learned to people please, to dilute your message until it fit the comfort zone of others, or perhaps you rebelled quietly, speaking truths in hushed tones where fewer ears could hear. There were nights of weary surrender, lying awake debating whether the cost of being authentic was worth the pain of rejection. These responses were not failures but survival strategies, emotional armor forged in the trials they arranged. In looking back, you realize these reactions testified to your courage and your refusal to remain broken. Now, reclaiming your voice begins as an act of defiance and devotion. The very resistance you face is proof of your power, a sacred echo of the truth you carry. Feel the surge of reclamation as you speak your name into the world, reclaiming the words they once twisted and the silences they imposed. Let your declarations ring clear. I will no longer apologize for my vision. I will no longer dim my light to ease their fear. Like Elijah stepping onto Mount Carmel, you call fire from heaven your truth, igniting the path forward. In this fierce recognition, you recover the part of yourself they tried to bury, and your voice becomes a trumpet heralding your return. You were opposed because you are powerful. The greater the force arrayed against you, the more undeniable your purpose became. In that opposition, your path was etched into the cosmos, each barrier carving deeper channels for your gifts to flow. Comment rising if you feel the momentum of your destiny surging within you. As you claim this revelation, steel your heart for the next emergence, where the very wounds they inflicted will transform into portals of prophetic strength, opening the way to your greatest miracles. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters. Your belief matters. And your light is felt here. When the circle starts breaking, a sudden tremor of truth can crack the strongest walls. You might have felt in the way one voice, one steady and assured, faltered in a group gathering, an unexpected slip that sent a ripple through the circle. In that instant, you sense a fault line opening beneath the facade of unity they perfected. It was as if the earth itself whispered, "See this break?" And you recognize the sound of destiny moving. What was once an impenetrable alliance revealed its first fracture, and you realize that the pressure mounting around you was not your defeat, but their undoing. The threshold between concealment and revelation shivered open, inviting you to watch the hidden gears of the conspiracy grind to a halt. Behind every orchestrated defense lay hidden cracks waiting to be forced wide by a higher power. You may recall the partner who suddenly spoke a secret they kept for years, or the friend whose laughter turned brittle as though it shattered beneath their tongue. These moments were not random confessions, but divine interventions, designed to loosen the nails of their pact. Like the clay jars of ancient Israel, fired and sealed kills until the heat becomes too intense. Their solidarity could not withstand the furnace of divine scrutiny. Each confession was a fragment of their wall crumbling, and in each fragment you found affirmation that the circle's unity over you was always temporary. In that charged atmosphere, you could feel the tension release as alliances began to unravel. Messages you once never saw now appeared in your inbox. Truth spoken in private conversations that echoed across public spaces. You watched colleagues distance themselves from a once unified front, their postures stiffening in the glare of newfound honesty. It was as if the scales fell from your eyes and you saw them in relief, not as grand adversaries, but as frightened souls compelled to reveal their hand. When you observed their shifting alignment, you felt a surge of compassion entwined with vindication, knowing that each soul they had tried to bind was now finding freedom and exposure. Symbols once hidden in their coded gatherings now floated into view. A dropped mask on a coffee table, a concealed document left open on a desk, the subtle change in tone when a group email suddenly went silent. You begin to see these objects and silences as oracles of truth. The world around you transforms into a speakable scripture, each symbol a glyph waiting to be read by your awakened sight. It's as though the divine scribe has begun to annotate their downfall in the margins of reality, showing you where trust was betrayed and loyalty feigned. These signs confirm what your heart already knows. Their concealment cannot stand against the light you carry. A familiar verse rises in your mind. What is whispered in secret will be shouted from the rooftops. Luke 12, verse 3. You feel the first echoes of that promise in the air as whispers gain strength and volume. Hushed gossip morphs into bold declarations of truth. The very lines they once drew to protect themselves begin to crumble under the weight of their own confessions, and every half-truth they told unravels like a tapestry pulled too hard. In this moment, you witness the alchemy of exposure. What was meant to shame you now becomes a fire that refines their own souls. As their circle weakens, you remember who you are in the midst of these revelations. You are not merely an observer, but the catalyst whose endurance summoned this unmasking. Feel your spirit swell with the fierce clarity that your purpose is being honored. The resistance you endure was never a random ordeal, but a test of your resolve. And now the cosmos itself is aligning to proclaim your vindication. Stand firm in this awareness. Their collapse is an act of divine choreography, and you are the chosen one at its center, not for revenge, but for restoration, yours and theirs. The final stones of their wall will fall, but not without leaving echoes in your own journey. You may find yourself reflecting on the wounds their unity inflicted, the moments you doubted yourself as you watched their confidence in your failure. Yet today, that very narrative rewrites itself. In the ash of their broken alliance, you feel the seeds of your next chapter taking root. Embrace the truth that their unraveling is the prelude to your greatest emergence. This is not the end of your story, but a grand turning where the pain they orchestrated becomes the foundation of your prophetic ascent. Your presence here, bearing witness to the first fractures of their circle, was no accident but a divine appointment. Comment break if you sense the first stones of their wall crumbling around you, and share a moment when a whispered truth shattered your doubts. Your experiences weave the threads of our collective awakening, guiding each other toward the fuller revelation that awaits. As the circle dissolves, prepare for the next thematic wave, where the consecrated act of exposure transforms into a sacred mirror reflecting the ultimate restoration of your soul. Prophetic exposure as a sacred mirror. A hush falls over your spirit as you stand at the edge of revelation, sensing the gravity of choice pressing in. In that sacred crossroads, the unmasking you witnessed is no longer stirring passive wonder. It demands action. Feel the weight of this moment. Will you retreat into the safety of old doubts, or will you step forward into the light that now bathes your path? There is no middle ground. The mirror of their exposure has shattered the illusion of safety and silence, and you find yourself at the threshold. To remain bound by fear or to claim the destiny waiting in the glare of divine justice. A deep exhale stirs as you gather back every ounce of yourself you once surrendered. Time wasted in appeasement. Energy drained by second-guessing. Words left unsaid. Now, in this ceremony of reclamation, you call these offerings back to your core with firm resolve. Speak them into being. I take back my voice. I reclaim my presence. Let this ritual declaration resound in your bones, an unshakable decree that the season of training is over and the era of your authority begins. In this fierce birthing, every fragment of doubt transforms into the crown you now wear. A spark ignites within you as you name the sacred arsenal you carry. The insight sharpened by trials, the compassion forged in fires of betrayal, the discernment honed in moments of solitude. These are not mere traits, but divine instruments. Keys that unlock hidden doors, scrolls inscribed with your unique code, armor tempered by celestial flame. Consider each gift a tool meticulously crafted by your journey, waiting in your hands to shape the world. What was once dismissed as weakness now stands revealed as the very signature of your power. Your feet press into the earth, recognizing a path laid long before your arrival. Stones set by prophecy, rather than footsteps yet to be taken. With each stride, the map unfolds beneath you, a crossroads of opportunity here, a signpost of resistance there, all converging into one coherent design. You move not into the unknown, but into the memory of a mission already inscribed upon your soul. Picture your journey as a river carving its course through ancient rock. Action is a current, and clarity is a view revealed downstream. A chorus of unseen allies harmonizes with your awakening as you sense the pulse of kindred spirits aligning in the unseen. You are no solitary traveler, but part of a grand assembly of awakened souls, soul tribes woven across time, each resonating with your frequency. Let this collective chorus embolden you. No longer dim your light to fit within dissolving constructs. The order you join is rising now, its vibration lifting you into a higher plane where your brilliance amplifies every voice around you. A sacred hush marks the moment you stand as steward your own energy, entrusted with boundaries drawn in the language of devotion. This is not a call to ego's ascent, but a spiritual stewardship, choosing where your focus flows, guarding the sanctity of your purpose, honoring each decision as a flame flickering in consecration. In this ceremonial stance, you sanctify your every intention, holding them against the polished blade of divine will until each one emerges pure and unbreakable. In the charged air before you, a final breath gathers strength as you hear the prophecy within. All you felt, all you feared, all you withstood has led to this unveiling. There is no residue of doubt. The composite of your experiences have become the foundation of your readiness. Speak it now, you are ready. Let this declaration echo through the chambers of your being, a resonant chord that severs any lingering hesitation and heralds your passage through the portal of embodiment. Revelation has called you beyond witness. It has summoned you into rightful action. You are more than the story you survived. You are the living testament to a purpose that cannot be undone. Comment mirror if you see a reflection in the sacred unveiling, and share a moment when your own inner knowing broke through doubt. Your wisdom ignites our shared path, guiding the next act of your journey. As a mirror of exposure retreats, know that the power you reclaim here will shape the world in ways they never imagined. And the next chapter awaits, where your mission unfolds in radiant fulfillment. In the stillness before dawn, as your breath stirs the cool air, you remember each time their laughter echoed in hollow unity, even as your heart cried out in solitude. That memory, once a wound of betrayal, now pulses with purpose, for every facet of their conspiracy was a mirror reflecting the depth of your resolve. In that quiet hour, you recognized that the very pain they inflicted was a chisel carving your soul into the vessel it was always meant to be. This ritual of remembrance transforms each echo of their mockery into a covenant of strength, binding you not to their story but to the destiny written in your marrow. A vision unfolds behind your closed eyelids, threads of silver light weaving to the tapestry of your life, connecting every hidden slight, every purposeful snub, into a cohesive design. This divine pattern, invisible to the unseeing, now unfurls before you as a cosmic scroll, its symbols whispering truths you once struggled to hear. You realize that each orchestrated betrayal was a glyph in the celestial language, and your awakening comes as a key to unlock meaning in every fractured relationship. The tears you shed become ink, inscribing the narrative of your emergence across the expanse of time. Your inner voice, once a hesitant whisper, now rises in confident declaration. I see the hand that shaped my trials, and I honors wisdom. In recalling the moment they formed their circle, scrawling shadows across your path, you also recall the first spark of recognition that you were never theirs to break. This inner proclamation is a sacrament, consecrating the alchemy of your experiences into spiritual gold. The hesitations of the past dissolve, leaving behind a luminous certainty. Your story was never about defeat, but about the transcendence of every orchestrated cruelty. A memory surfaces of an ancient river, its waters reflecting the sky even as rocks try to dam its flow. That river is you, persistent, unyielding, carving canyons of wisdom to the bedrock of adversity. In the same way, each attempt to suppress you became a tributary, feeding the current of your purpose, channeling strength into a stream that could never be still. You stand now on the banks of that living water, feeling its power surge through your veins, guiding you onward with momentum no circle of opposition could ever halt. An inner question breaks the surface of your awareness. What if every hand that pushed you down was shaping the very throne you now ascend? This question is no mere curiosity, but a prophetic invocation, summoning the hidden architect of your path to bear witness as you claim your place at the center of this divine narrative. The throne they sought to deny you is always awaiting your arrival, its seat etched in the fabric of the cosmos. In this moment, you feel the vibration of destiny answering your call, resonating with a purpose they could not extinguish. A whisper of ancient scripture drifts through your mind, echoing Hosea 2 verse 15. I will betroth you to me forever in righteousness and justice, in steadfast love and mercy. You realize that their unholy alliance was the crucible from which your soul would emerge betrothed to a higher calling. Their exposure was the unveiling of wedding vows written in the stars, uniting you eternally to the divine source of your gift. This marriage of soul and spirit anchors you in truth, freeing you from the illusions they wove and binding you to a legacy far greater than any earthly circle. You taste the anticipation of what comes next as you feel the community of awakened souls pressing close, unseen yet ever present, cheering your rise. Each heartbeat syncs with theirs in a symphony of collective revelation, an undying chorus that amplifies your single voice into a roar of liberation. No longer must you stand alone. Your restoration is a beacon lighting the way for others who still wander in the half-light of doubt. Together, you form a constellation of purpose, each star guiding the other home through the wilderness of unreason and fear. In this culmination, you inhale deeply the fragrance of your rebirth, a scent woven from every trial, every hidden code revealed, and every covenant honored. The tapestry of your life, once tangled by their schemes, now hangs pure and vibrant. Each thread a testament to the grace that shaped you. With that breath, you step forward into action, no longer a student of your awakening, but its living embodiment. Comment beacon if you feel the pulse of your mission ignited within you, and share a moment when the light of your restoration spark hope in another. As your words feed the flame of collective ascent, prepare for the next horizon, where the power you reclaim will ripple through the world, turning each challenge into triumph and every shadow into radiance. A hush falls as you lean into a soft inhalation, tasting the first hint of something wholly new, an aroma spun from the embers of trial by fire, cooled by tears you never thought you'd shed. In that breath lives every secret you bore in shadow, every code you cracked in midnight wrestling, every covenant you whispered under trembling skies. It feels like stepping into a forest after rain, where leaves glimmer and the earth smells like promise. This scent is your rebirth. It lingers in the hollows of your chest and reminds you that what was once broken is now whole in a way you never dared imagine. Let that fragrance settle in your bones. It is the breath of destiny meeting you here. A vision comes in a weave of tapestry. Threads once knotted by manipulations now glow in colors that shift with your gaze. You see the crooked lines where their schemes try to reroute your story. But notice now how each twist was rewoven by grace into a pattern more resilient than any cover they could craft. This living cloth cups your shoulders as a mantle of truth, and you trace its edges knowing that every thread is testimony to an unseen hand guiding you. You are draped in the radiant memory of every moment you stood firm, every time you chose quiet over conflict, every boundary born in trust. Here, you wear your history as armor. In the echo of a childhood memory, you recall standing barefoot on dew-kissed grass before dawn, feeling the world hold its breath waiting for sunrise. That ancient pause breathes again inside you, a reminder that beginnings often come in the stillest hour. You once thought that early morning hush was just peace. Now you know it was preparation. Just as the first light cleaves night in two, your awakening split your life into before and after. That dawnlit grass becomes the altar where you consecrate each tomorrow. When you inhale that early breeze, you breathe in the continuity of your own being, unchanged core and expanding horizon. A silence like a vaulted cathedral envelopes you next, and you hear the whisper of stars. They watch you unravel, recast, and rise. Their conversation is in constellations, symbols above you mirroring codes below, cosmic scripts that read your journey into the sky. When you tilted your face skyward in questions and prayers, the heavens leaned closer. You felt a pulse in the night air, a rhythm echoing the celestial drum that once set galaxies spinning. Now that pulse hums again in your own blood. The cosmic theater in your life are one stage. Your steps write new acts with every choice. You are both audience and actor in a sacred drama. A prophetic gust sweeps through, carrying voices from hills and deserts, from prophets whose names you only half remember. Habakkuk murmuring a vision written plainly, Elijah fleeing to hear the thin whisper beyond storms, Deborah rising under oak for judgment. Their legacies fuse into your marrow, naming you heir of a lineage that never bowed to fear. With their echoes in your mind, authority settles in your stance. This is not borrowed power, but inherited flame passed from hand to hand across ages. The moment demands you stoke that fire. Let it illuminate corners of life you once avoided. Let it burn false outlines so true form stands clear. Imagine a question unfolding in your spirit like a map unfurls on a stone altar. What if every challenge you faced was a waypoint guiding you to this point? Each setback now reads as coordinate, each heartbreak as milestone. The past pulls you forward rather than holding you back, and the future stretches before you like untraveled road lined with markers you already know by heart. You have witnessed the collapse of the circle meant to destroy you. Now step into the light. They can no longer hold at bay. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment, I am chosen, to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members. Your devotion fuels this mission. 4 full prophetic revelations daily. Join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every super thanks fuels the justice we're witnessing together. Rise now, chosen one, and watch the circle crumble in the wake of your destiny.